Finally, you should desire to be around the Lord's table today because communion is a time to draw strength from Jesus. To be honest, I'm mentioning this one last today because I think this is already the primary focus of most Christians as we observe communion. And to be honest, I can tell that some believers regard communion as only this. This is really the only thing they think about during communion. And that can actually become a form of spiritual selfishness. Friend, Jesus intended the Lord's Supper for you, but it is not about you. And those things are very different. Communion is about Jesus. Communion is about the health and the well-being of others and the church. And after that, communion is about you. It's about me. So if our communion thoughts and prayers center only on ourselves, could it be we're missing the first two things that Jesus wants us to get right as we take communion? If we never think about the church during communion, are we doing what the Bible commands us to do as we take the Lord's Supper? This message was a huge thread in Paul's letter to Corinth because this group of believers, they were getting the Lord's Supper really wrong. So Paul walked through it to remind them and to remind us. So would you listen in a fresh way today? On the night he was betrayed, the Lord Jesus took some bread and gave thanks to God for it. Then he broke it in pieces and he said, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In the same way, he took the cup of wine after supper, saying, "This cup is the new covenant between God and his people, an agreement confirmed with my blood. Do this in remembrance of me as often as you drink it." Jesus first, church second, then me.